Things happen. That was the shockingly insensitive and dismissive statement Donald Trump made when a journalist asked a question about the killing of Saudi dissident journalist and Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. The US president has kicked up yet another controversy by defending Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the man who, according to the CIA, plotted the shocking and brutal assassination of the journalist. Trump angrily dismissed a question about the 2018 murder, claiming that the Saudi dissident journalist was extremely controversial and insisting that the subject was raised during his meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince only to embarrass his guest. During the high-profile and pageantry-filled visit of the de facto Saudi leader to the White House, Trump told a reporter, "You're mentioning somebody who was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you liked him or didn't like him, things happen." Trump went on to say Mohammed bin Salman knew nothing about the murder. He told the reporter who had asked the question, "You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that."
Is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the
But the
worst.
question is
One of the
legitimate,
worst
sir.
in the business. But I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over. They've done very little with Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm sure they could do a lot. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
That moment illustrated that the Saudi Crown Prince's diplomatic isolation that followed Khashoggi's murder is now over. For his first visit to the White House in more than 7 years, the Crown Prince was welcomed with all the trappings of a state visit, the highest form of American diplomatic reception. His black Mercedes limousine was escorted onto the South Lawn by a team of dark horses as a military band trumpeted his arrival. A flyover of fighter jets that included F-35s, the jets Trump says he's planning to sell to Riyadh, blared overhead. Later, Trump hosted a black-tie dinner for his guest. Sitting in the Oval Office, Trump heaped praise on the Crown Prince, including for what he called his incredible record on human rights. The president then touted new deals on Saudi investments in the United States and affirmed his plans to sell the American-made jets. And instead of merely glossing over the 2018 murder of the Saudi journalist, which took place at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Trump took offense that the subject was raised at all during what he intended to be a splashy show of respect. In an editorial, the Washington Post has said Trump's comments dishonor Jamal Khashoggi's legacy, stand at odds with the facts, and are beneath the office of the president. Sitting beside Trump, the Crown Prince appeared surprised by the discussion of his alleged role in the murder, which was committed by Saudi agents who later chopped the body into multiple pieces. Mohammed bin Salman told reporters, and I quote, "It's painful and it's a huge mistake. About the journalist, it's really painful to hear about anyone losing his life for no real purpose or not in a legal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We did all the right steps of investigation and we are doing our best to ensure that this doesn't happen again."
To answer, I feel painful about the families of 9/11 in America, but we have to focus on reality based on CIA documents and based on a lot of documents that Osama bin Laden, he used Saudi people in that event for one main purpose, is to destroy this relation, to destroy the American-Saudi relation. That's the purpose of 9/11. About the journalists, it's really painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose or not in a legal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc., in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that, and it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
Hanan Ilatra Khashoggi, the wife of the slain journalist, has responded to Trump's claim that her husband was extremely controversial. She said this is not justification to murder him. Jamal was a good, transparent and brave man. Many may not have agreed with his opinions and desire for freedom of the press. The Crown Prince said he was sorry, so he should meet me, apologize and compensate me for the murder of my husband.
I was disappointed with the describe of my husband being unconversible man and unlikely man. And I would like to answer in this to President Trump. President Trump, you don't know my husband very well, and I'm willing to meet with you and share with you everything about my husband. My husband was a very transparent man. He was a great man and professional, and he was a brave man as well. Even if someone doesn't like him, which is sometimes happened, doesn't justify the action of kidnapping him, torture him, killing him, and dismantle his body. There is nothing to justify the crime happened. No explanation for it.
The CIA assessment released in 2021 found that the Crown Prince had approved of the assassination of the Washington Post columnist, even though he has long denied any involvement. The CIA report says, and I quote, "We based this assessment on the Crown Prince's control of decision-making in the kingdom, the direct involvement of a key advisor, and members of Mohammed bin Salman's protective detail in the operation, and the Crown Prince's support for using violent measures to silence dissidents abroad, including Khashoggi." During his first term, Trump largely shrugged off MSB's potential role in Khashoggi's murder, though he described himself as extremely angry and very unhappy about the killing. His successor, President Joe Biden, pledged as a candidate to make Saudi Arabia a pariah. But even Biden came to recognize that the kingdom and its crown prince were too powerful and influential to ignore entirely. He flew to the country in 2022 in a mostly unsuccessful attempt to convince Saudi Arabia to increase its oil output. Trump has actively sought to cultivate his relationship with the kingdom in his second term, visiting Riyadh in the month of May to discuss new investments and security arrangements. His interest in the kingdom has drawn scrutiny for his family's financial interests in the country, though he dismisses those concerns. Trump's hope is that Saudi Arabia eventually joins the Abraham Accords, his signature diplomatic achievement by normalizing its relations with Israel. But Mohammed bin Salman has made clear that is not happening before a clear pathway exists for an independent Palestinian state. But Trump has gone ahead and accorded Saudi Arabia the status of a major non-NATO ally, the status that Israel enjoys. He has announced a defense agreement with Saudi Arabia that would include the sale of American fighter jets, the much-coveted F-35s. Interestingly, there was no mention of Israel, which will certainly not be amused by this deal. This defense deal is likely to shift the balance of power in the Middle East, strengthening Saudi Arabia as a regional powerhouse and the first Arab nation to receive the most advanced American fighter jets. The sale still requires US government review and congressional oversight, but the Trump administration can try to push those through over the next 3 years, potentially altering the military balance towards Riyadh, especially over any objections Israel may have. Significantly, the sale of F-35s does not require normalization of Saudi ties with Israel, even though the Trump administration has said it remains a key foreign policy goal. While Trump has publicly mentioned the sale of the jets, he has not offered any specifics, including what, if any, assurances he has given to Israel. Before the Gaza war, the Biden administration believed it was close to finalizing a normalization agreement between Israel and Saudi Arabia. But the war, along with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's repeated rejection of a Palestinian state, derailed the deal. Instead of trying to force an issue that was stuck, Trump moved forward where he could. Saudi Arabia was willing to buy US weapons and Trump was ready to sell without even normalization taking place first. An Israeli security source has been quoted as saying it is very concerning for the country's military that Saudi Arabia would acquire fifth-generation fighter jets. The source has told the American media, for many years it was an unspoken rule that we carefully ensured that no one in the Middle East will have the same aircraft and the same capabilities as Israel. The severity is not exaggerated. It is not good for Israel. Former Israeli military chief Gadi Eisenkot has blasted the deal and the inability of Prime Minister Netanyahu, who repeatedly boasts about his relationship with Trump, to stop it from happening.